your mic. Okay.
Okay. Are we streaming?
Mike.
Hey, young lady, how you doing?
Doing
Yes.
the Car Wars
Thanks.
this morning.
Car Wars.
Down to one. Yep.
You want to have one car? You want to have one car?
No, we.
Good morning. I'd like to call the meeting to order. Thank you for joining us today. As is customary, let's start our meeting with a short time of reflection. Thank you. Now, please join us in the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Is there a motion and a second to replace the
So
old
moved.
agenda with the
Second.
revised one? Seen a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
That's approved. I'd like to ask Melissa Dykes and Bruce Dugan to please come forward and lead us in our safety briefing. Good morning, Melissa.
Good morning.
Morning.
I'm Melissa Dykes. I'm the treasurer at JEA, and I'll do the safety briefing this morning, although I'm not sure I can compete with Lenny the Lemon, who was on prior to the start of the meeting. In case of an emergency and we need to evacuate the building, please use the stairs to the left of the elevators. There are fire extinguishers also to the left of the elevators, which are to be used only to aid in evacuation. Be aware of any hazards in the room as you're evacuating, including the chairs or any other trip hazards. And our meeting location is the corner of Main and Ashley, which is the parking lot for the Baptist Church. In case of an emergency, Jeannie Ryan has volunteered to call security, and I'll call 911. Please silence your cell phones for the meeting. Restrooms are located out the door to the right, and they'll be on the left-hand side in the hallway. I am the treasurer at JEA. I report to the CFO. I'm responsible for overseeing JEA's debt, investments, and cash activities. I have been with JEA since September of last year, so I may be the newest or second newest employee in the room. Previously, I worked for independent power producers building renewable power plants. Prior to that, I worked for JP Morgan on their investment banking team, was a vice president in their group, and actually had the privilege of covering JEA staff while I was at JP Morgan. And with that, I'll introduce my partner in the safety briefing this morning, Bruce Dugan, who has some much more entertaining props than I brought with me.
Thank you, Melissa. Well, just to introduce myself, I am Bruce Dugan. I'm the Director of Organizational Performance Improvement, and I've been with JEA in one facet or another since October of '84. I had most of my career in customer relationship area, and as Paul took over, he assigned us, my team, to work on the J.D. Power studies, so I'm back in that same arena. As I look back over my career here, some of the things that I've been privileged to do include leading the teams that put in our current billing system. Got to lead the team that improved some of the customer self-service options, like being able to get a pay plan through the telephone without talking to a person. Things of that nature, bringing credit card payments to our customers. So as you look back, we've got a lot of good people who've done a lot of good things, but we are embarking on a new journey now, and we are actively engaged in improving customer satisfaction. And so it's fun. We're enjoying it, and we're looking forward to some results. Now, outside the office, I've got 3 children. I've got 2 grandchildren. I've got 2 dogs. I teach Sunday school, part of the church council. And I like to ride motorcycles, so I use that to let you know that I'm the president of the local chapter of the Christian Motorcycle Association. The Empty Tomb Riders is our chapter name. And when you see us on the road, this is our patch. And this is our chapter patch. So we have a motorcycle ministry, and that's one of the things that I enjoy doing.
Here.
Thank you,
Cool
Bruce.
jacket. Nice jacket.
Thanks for leaving the leather chaps at home. Good. Well, if Bruce and Melissa weren't enough entertainment for us this morning, next on the agenda we do have what I think most of my fellow board members will say is often the highlight of our year, which is to have Todd and his robotics club come do a presentation for us. So thanks for coming in this morning, Todd.
Thank y'all for the
bringing your
opportunity.
students.
Wow. This is amazing. All the good JEA folks that have supported me all these years. Vicki Drake of the school board's here this morning with us. Who else is hiding here? I've got all kinds of mentors from my team and adults and stuff. Oh my goodness. Anyhow, we're Team Resistance, JEA's robot competition team. Green light on? Is that good? Okay. Where do you start? This is my 17th year overseeing, being the chief geek of the robotics competition team. And it's quite an honor to represent my company in the community, to do good things for the kids. We have this morning a slideshow that I'm going to partially narrate. I'm going to let y'all read part of it. I don't know that I can keep up with it. I've tried to cram way too much into the PowerPoint as usual. Brevity is not one of my stronger suits, so we're going to get on to it. With that, let's see if we can make it work. Okay, fall training. We start September to December. Every year on Sundays, we have safety, shop equipment, fab methods, AutoCAD design software, robot control stuff, community involvement. We do all of those things with the kids every Sunday afternoon training. Then we have to go over to the schools and recruit. Here we have pictures of us recruiting. This is my home. Team Resistance calls it Chaos Central. That's what it looks like every Sunday afternoon. It looks like a keg party for college in front of the house. You walk in the front door, there's not a place to walk anywhere. Not one room of the house other than the bedrooms is kept private. The dining room, the kitchen, every place you look, there's people, kids with laptops working on stuff. Control system programming. You'll notice the fellow in the wheelchair. We actually have a wheelchair ramp for the back porch. The programming team, they pretty much own the inside of the house most of the time, and then they sprawl out onto the back deck. Everywhere you go, there's kids having a good time learning something. Out in the shop, we have here we have Iz Youngberg in the audience. She's helping train students on the drill press here. First thing we have to teach every kid is how to read a ruler. Think about that. And calipers. Every kid has to be functional in all the machines in the shop in order to be proficient by January when we start building. We rely heavily on student-to-student or peer teaching on all of our machines. We teach several different types of welding. All members are trained in shop safety and basic tool use. We spread out into the backyard in order to have enough room to work. Every 4-hour shop session includes a half-hour break. That is a typical afternoon at the house. Okay, imagine all those kids inside. They rotate the responsibility of bringing snacks and drinks. Then in January and February, they have to share the load of building the new robot. Every student has to choose a one weeknight shift and one weekend shift, 4 hours each. There's a lot to do. We only have 6 weeks to build a robot. We have to watch the kickoff meeting and figure out what we have to do to play. You have to brainstorm, prototype, design, fabricate, wire, program, and test drive the robot, plus do an industrial animation and a virtual robot in a CAD program. Then we come to JEA, and when we watch the kickoff meeting, we use the CC4 auditorium, and then we use one of the training classrooms to brainstorm the strategy for winning the game this year. The students do the brainstorming led by the adults. Everything on this team is done by students. The next thing we do is we have to prototype mechanisms, whether it's shooting basketballs or hitting golf balls or footballs. Then we use Autodesk Inventor to build a virtual robot. Basically, the entire robot is modeled in software. We have to do that because the machine is very complex and it moves fast. We have to calculate center of gravity and the final weight. The weight of the machine is very important. If you don't have it under 120 pounds, you don't play. We also have to build pieces of the arena that are critical to play on so we can make sure the robot actually works on them. So as soon as that all happens, we start actually building parts. Usually 3 days after we get our robot game, we are actually cutting metal. You'll notice the students doing the work. Many of the teams we compete against have union machine shops and engineering departments do the engineering and fabrication. The kids drive the robot. That's not so with our team. Almost every picture you'll see that I take has kids in it doing something complicated. You'll also notice there's a lot of adults involved here. We have loads and loads of our kids that have graduated from high school and then from college have come back and worked with us. We have a bunch of them here today as visitors. That tells me that the program must be pretty darn good if people will shape their lives around it and come back and help. I'm very proud of that. Finally, we get a robot built and wired. We have to program it. You'll notice Mr. Kierson here is overseeing the students. The students have their hands on the laptop, notice. This young man here was one of my first students. He's now a local programmer and engineer, and he comes over every year and helps us with this complicated programming. We also do an animation, an industrial animation. The subject is always supplied by the game committee. It typically has to do with safety. We have we have CAD servers at the house where the kids actually work on the CAD programs and animation programs. Okay. You'll see everywhere you look, it's just amazing to me that we have to stumble over the kids doing something constructive. In 2010, we won both the animation and the design award for our stuff, and we were very proud of that. We typically have 1 day to practice at JEA in the auditorium. We have to debug the robot, do driver tryouts and selection, and get a day or so of driver practice. Every kid gets a chance to drive and operate the robot so we can have the very best pick of all the kids that are on the team. And this machine has to actually balance this teeter-totter with 1 or 2 more machines on it at the same time. What a trick that was. The machine that we had outside shoots basketballs, so miniature basketballs. That was quite a feat. At the end of 6 weeks, we have to lock the robot up in a heavy bag, tag it with a shipping seal, and let it sit. We send it down to the Orlando regional competition at UCF Arena, and we have to go through 3-on-3 competition rounds. Basically 3 robots at a time against 3 robots. We have a 20-second autonomous period where the robot runs all by itself. It does its own navigation and targeting and shoots hoops. It's driven by the kids for a while, and then at the end you have to balance the robots on this bridge. That was last year's game. It's different every single year. 4th regional championship in 6 years. We are very proud of that. Most important about this team is volunteerism and community outreach. We are demonstrating gracious professionalism by what we do. We are mentoring other rookie teams, including Lake City's team here that you see. Lake City liked to whoop us in the final rounds at the regional last year after we mentored them. Chris Cruz, one of our mentors, is running the Ocala team. This year we're doing Rains High School and Robert E. Lee for mentorship. We are already building parts for them. Last night we completed a part and we'll send it to them tonight. Anything we can do to get those youngster teams up and going is great. We also support the UNF robotics competition teams. They did moon mining this last year. Just this past weekend, UNF had a first LEGO League competition, which our team members and adults supported with. You can see the arrows. Those are our people that were out there helping. During the summertime, we don't ever slow down. We have to keep the shop up. We have to repair machines, bring in new machines from donors. Nothing like having a bobcat and a lathe in the front yard. We've been put in textbooks for robot design, which we're very, very proud of. The greatest thing is our alumni students go to college, come back, and work with us year after year. The parents that have kids that have been on the team, this young man and this young lady, their kids have been graduated 5 or 6 years, and they still come back and help. They help at the regional competitions and the nationals. The 2 fellows here are alumni members from the very first year of Team Resistance, still involved. Both of them have kids. Oh my goodness. Jake and Laney Eaton. These folks have both had 2 kids in the program, and they help every week. Doug Sinclair from SOC. He's always over here helping with the electronics and electrical stuff. Don Drake. That's his son Andrew, who's now a JEA employee over in the meter, the test shop. We have a lot of returning people, a lot of people coming back into the community that we have inspired and educated. We're very proud of that. These folks here, Glenn and David, they've been working with 17 years. Myself and Will Brito. Will's kid was an alumni. He's been gone 5 or 6 years, and his dad's still working. Lisa Bowling is here in the meeting today. She and her husband have supported us for over 10 years, 2 kids in the program. You can't run a program like this without having adult help and good sponsorship and good mentorship. And finally, St. Lisa, that's my wife, she puts up with all this. You can imagine what my house looks like. Thank you, volunteers, for making this program. I just can't say enough about volunteer help. JEA, I want to thank Jim and the board, Paul, for the support that we've had over the years. Y'all have been a financial supporter for 15 of the 17 years. Y'all are the ones that make it happen. You can have all the mentors in the world. If you don't have the finance, you don't go anywhere. You can have all the finance in the world, no mentors, you don't go anywhere. So we have an absolutely fabulous group of everything here. Okay, here comes, I know I could do this. I'm a plant engineer, not a computer person, so they have to retrain me every morning when I get to my desk. Okay, I think I got it here. Final WMV. That's what we want to watch. This real quick. I know I can do this.
How safe are you? Do you always use your PPE at work, your personal protective equipment? Let's see how much Lenny the Lemon knows about safety.
For anybody that's never done animation, it is incredibly difficult, incredibly complicated. A simple animation like this takes months to do. Ow, that hurts. Two things we have to be very careful of in the shop. Hot objects, because we do a lot of grinding and welding. You notice the shoelaces. My number one headache in the shop for safety is kids that don't tie their shoes. If you trip over your shoelaces and hit your head on something, you are going to get hurt. So anyhow, that's why
Don't be a lemon.
those two subjects
Wear your
were in the animation today.
Work safe. Be safe.
Okay. By the way, the lead of that team, the animation team, is one of our security guards here, Dustin. Where are you? Stand up. Come on. There you are. Thank you. Dustin came to our savior for the animation team. It's very hard to find a qualified person in animation. Okay. Where's my video? Hang on a second. I think I have got rid of it. Where's my IT person? My apologies, I told you. What did I tell you? Plant engineer can kill anything. This will speak for itself. You'll constantly see gracious professionalism mentioned. It is expected of you.
Team 86 has come a long way since our first robot, affectionately named the Trashbot. We have managed to win the Florida Regional Championship 4 times, in 2007, 2008, 2010, and 2012. Few teams can claim to have more championships under their belt, the foremost among them being Team Pink, our ally at regionals this year. It takes a lot of training and hard work to accomplish such outstanding victories. Part of our practice time last year was spent building a trebuchet for the Riverside Arts Market, which was a fun project that allowed students to familiarize themselves with the equipment. We begin training each year in early fall, long before the season officially kicks off in January.
We had to have the
We train
Coast Guard
students
clear
how to
the
use the
river for us
equipment
to do
needed to
that.
make robot components,
On the floor
how to
of Georgia
program the
State.
robot effectively and quickly, and all the other jobs necessary to foster a good learning environment for young engineers. During the 6 weeks we have to design, build, and test our robot for actual competition, the work becomes much more intense but no less fun. Students work under time constraints that simulate real-world engineering assignments, and it pushes them to try their best, and each year we produce a better robot in design and build than the last.
Ready, steady, go!
The challenge this year was to build a robot capable of autonomously shooting 2 balls into a basket several feet away, shooting into or defending a number of basketball hoops during the teleoperated mode, and then balancing with another robot on a bridge suspended across the field for a significant number of bonus points. Our team did well this year, being one of the first teams to have a fully functioning robot and winning the Orlando Regional Competition and a chance at the National Competition. At the St. Louis National Competition, we did well in our division, but were unable to make it into the finals due to complications with our Autonomous Actions and Alliance members. Our team happily serves the community both within and outside of the FIRST organization. This year, we mentored a rookie team through their first year, teaching them the basics of designing and building a robot, and we were very proud of their accomplishments. They even went so far as to win the Rookie Inspiration Award. Team 86 also works in the Jacksonville community, presenting our robot to Boy Scout troops and other young students to foster a love for engineering and promote FIRST traits such as teamwork. We would like to thank our sponsors for their generous support of our team, allowing us these wonderful opportunities to grow as engineers and spread our love for engineering. Thank you.
Wow. It's a whole lot of information to try to get to you folks in a short amount of time. I appreciate the opportunity to be here. Again, I want to thank you all for your sponsorship, my volunteers for all the hours you put in. I occasionally make the mistake of looking and try to figure out how much time we have invested. During the fall, we put in 2,880 student hours, about the same amount of time during the build season, for almost 6,000 hours. The mentors, there's about 1,200 hours. Some of them put in that much each. It's amazing how much time goes into a program like this, but it's all a labor of love, and we have a good time doing it. All my team members, could you just stand up so you can see who all's here? I mean, everybody's hiding in the back. Yep. I just can't thank y'all enough for everything you do. We have.
Todd, I wanted to say that we are incredibly indebted to you and Jacob and Glenn and Lisa and all of the mentors that give so much of your time and energy and resources to these kids. And, you know, of course, we're incredibly proud of the accomplishments of the kids. This is a wonderful program. I don't think that there are many investments that JEA makes that we can say we get a higher return on investment that supported your organization. And I hope that this board will continue to support the organization going forward. It's a success story. I can't think of another way to sum it up. Right?
Just a quick question, I think I know the answer. Any problems recruiting students year after year?
Strictly word of mouth. We take a robot out in public, and then it's like the Pied Piper. We have too many people to fit in the house.
Okay.
So far, no
Are
problem.
you thinking of getting a larger house, maybe?
What we are doing is we have Paxson High School that is looking at setting up another team. We already have Robert E. Lee and Raines that we're mentoring, so we're trying to spread some of this out. It's very difficult to find mentors to spend this kind of time. It's a very in-depth program. It takes a champion to keep everything together. So we're trying to help with the other schools, and hopefully the next few years we'll have some more individual success stories from other areas.
Good work.
As I remember, we were so appreciative of your home being open to the students and all those volunteers that in years past we've made at least our sincere appreciation known to your wife by sending her some small token. And I think, again, my board member suggested that we should do that this year, and I certainly agree that we should send something. I don't know what we could send that would be worthwhile, but we will be sending her something this year again. as a token of our sincere appreciation for opening up her home every
Well,
Sunday.
we certainly appreciated the flowers. My wife, of course, what happens when flowers show up at the house that I didn't send? Oh, my God.
We'll put your name on it.
No, but that was wonderful. We did appreciate it.
But we have something a little different planned for this year.
Well, we appreciate it.
We appreciate you.
I can't tell you how much we love working with the kids and having y'all to help us.
Todd, if you did not see it, 60 Minutes ran a wonderful story Sunday night on the state of robotics in the United States and how far robots have come and where they're projected to go in the next decade. If you didn't see it, I would encourage you to get it. I think you can stream it off the web.
Sure.
It is it's I think a story that reiterates to me the importance of training young students in the field of robotics.
Sure.
So,
And I have heard about it, but I haven't seen it. We'll have to take time to do that.
that's great.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Todd, to all the volunteers, and especially your wife who does that. Just a couple thoughts. Number one, I think this sort of, and we have the press here, but there may be an opportunity that we should explore. When you talk about community engagement, unfortunately, people talk about what isn't happening in our school system in Duval County. I think that with this success story, there's a track record. Jane, I know, has extraordinary contacts. And again, I'm not sure, but we can get in contact with Comcast. They are required to do a lot of community engagement, a lot of PSCs. This may be an opportunity for us to work with them, and one, to talk about the students of what has been done. But as you talk about trying to go forward and get more support, community engagement, we may want to reach out to one of the cable companies, and this would be a great thing, number one. Number two, has the new superintendent seen the robotics? Have they seen them do it? I would encourage, you've got a former school board member who has extraordinary contacts with this board. I would call the new chairman, Mr. Fell. I would go down there and show what our students are doing, let them know the schools that we're doing. I'd reach out to cable, and there may be a real opportunity for this your organization to have something on there to what Ashton was saying, is to reemphasize this is a new world, a new thing, and it could be that we might want to use that as a way to engage the community. But number two, we've got really great kids that are doing great things, and about the mentors and the volunteers that come back year after year. So as a suggestion, I'd reach out to the board, to the new superintendent, and I would explore the opportunity with cable to see if our organization, our volunteers, could not have a show on there, and then we can do what we need to do. But congratulations to all of you.
Thank you. All right. Well, we have used up a lot of your meeting time.
No, it was worth it.
Again, we thank you for the opportunity to be here and show off a little bit.
Thank you.
All righty. I think that's pretty much it. Can't think of anything else. I'm about to sweat to death in this nasty suit.
You did a great job.
Plant engineers don't wear coats.
Or Bruce's vest.
Okay. Thank you again. I'm going to leave it with you, and we take your words to heart, trust me.
Thank you very
We'll
much.
be over there banging on their doors. All right.
And Ms. Drake, thank you for coming this morning to show your support.
Thank you.
It's always nice to have visitors with us, so thank you.
Okay. With that, we'll hop on out and let y'all get to work.
Great.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Next on the agenda, and you've got big shoes to fill stepping up to the podium after that presentation, but Jesus Garcia is going to talk to us about the utility tracker. Good morning.
Good morning. It's a pleasure and honor to be here today. I'm Jesus Garcia, been with JEA about 12 years. First part as a contractor, now as employee. Before that, I was working a contracting company as IT staff, and before that, banking industry. So it's been a quite interesting journey. Most of my life being on IT projects. The latest one, I've been involved in several projects. One of those, billing system, worked with Bruce, and I remember Jim being there. We have put a lot of technology out there, and today we're going to talk about the tracker. We call it the tracker. The tracker is a tool that will give our customers the ability to do several things. We know, and we've been looking for this type of tools in an effort to improve our customer satisfaction. And while we have access to some of that information behind the scenes, we were not able to put that in our customers' hands. And the tracker is the best opportunity we have. And we know the JD powers feedback about being effective on improving customer satisfaction. So bear with me, it's a demo, so things can go wrong. With that being said, let me introduce you how we selected this tool. The first was a golden opportunity when the Department of Energy offered grant money to do smart energy projects. We applied for the grant and got approved and got a discount pretty much price on the implementation. With that being said, we were looking for a tool that was able to do several things. One, we wanted somebody that was well established in the market, was able to fulfill our requirements as a utility, because most of those have only electric side. We are an electric and water utility, obviously customer friendly, and we want to offer the option, or have the option to be a SaaS opportunity, which is the vendor will host most of the solution on their infrastructure, so that lowers our O&M cost. We ask feedback from our customers. We call the RFP. We have 3 bids, pretty much the top ranking on the market as energy portals. It was Tendril, O-Power, and Aclara. We called our customers, 2 Cents group that we have, and have them to rate each one of these tools. As they rate them, we learned several things. One is the commercial use is a little bit limited, and as we kind of expected, the water side is not quite there yet. So pretty much based on that feedback, our customers choose Aclara, which is a vendor that has over 100 utilities already in the States with this customer portal. Then we had to work on the integration piece with our billing system, because we have all the information that our smart meters or intelligent infrastructure provides, and we need to tie that all in our website. So the first piece was to integrate in JEA.com. As we did so, we had to include a couple of functions of the tracker. One is the bill highlights, and the second is the daily usage. This is based on our customers' feedback that gets the most impact on their consumption and everything that they see. As we see through, there's a new button on JEA.com that will take you to this new portal. Once you click on it, and here's where it comes, the interesting piece, you should be taken to the energy portal. The first page that will load, it's a page with a glance overview of your consumption. It will give you information about your consumption habits, electric and water by day of the week. It will give you some bill highlights, which will compare your last 2 bills and tell you the costs or things that happen that made some variation to that consumption, to those charges, or things that you have done in your home profile, that I will talk a little bit later on. It also compares your consumption from this month to the last year this month. It goes and does the breakdown of your consumption and your charges based on your profile. And I will talk a little bit later on. So it calculates how much you use on your cooling, on your cooking, and those kind of things. Also tells you how efficient is your home. Compare your home with the average home and how much you use compared to people like you based on your profile. And also very important is the bill to date estimate. This is the cost so far as of a couple days ago consumption. So with that being said, and each one of these is that's what we call the landing page. You have a glance information, but you have also options to drill down. The tool will give you the opportunity to understand three things. One, how is your bill? Understand how the breakdown of your bill, compare your bill, do analysis on your bills, and overlay weather data. The second is understand how your home uses that energy. The breakdown, consumption, type of appliances, square footage, type of things that you can do to improve the efficiency of your home. It has several programs that you can enroll and reduce your consumption. And lastly, track how you use your energy on a daily basis. We're excited about this. This is the first time we push this out to our customers and be able to act upon that information. Let me take you to the bill history, which is a summary of up to the last 24 bills. It gives you the bill date. You have the total charges on the electric, water, and any other activities. So you can see at glance how those bills compare to each other or do an analysis. You can click on the basic summary, which gives you consumption by service. You can compare the breakdown, how much was the consumption, the number of days we bill, what were the electric charges, and also some other charges. You can also see the usage, if you want, or the cost detail. And for those customers that are on budget, the budget amounts that you were charged for and how much you consume. So you will see the variation there, so you understand better. Most importantly, it brings the graphic view of this. You can click and say, okay, let me graph my consumption. It will give you your consumption of the last 24 months. And you can say, okay, I want for the electric charges only, let's put it that way, and put the degree days. Degree days is how weather impacts your consumption. So you can see when it's hot, you consume a lot, or when it's cold as well. So it's cooling and heating degree days. If you're not familiar with that, scroll down and there's a kind of nice explanation of what those things are. So there's several things that you can do and understand on how your bill is calculated. Secondly, let me take you, once you have understood your bill, the breakdown, what impacts your bill, how you use consumption, now let me try to understand how my home uses energy. You have a home profile which you fill and you can update. We run with several assumptions at the beginning, but you can change and say, okay, here is my square footage. This is the type of appliances that I have, what type of oven I use, cooktop, those kind of things. And what type of heating and cooling degree days. So you set up your own profile of your home. But most importantly, these help us to understand how your home uses energy and how you can save money. There are several programs in which you can enroll and start saving energy. You can say, okay, I'm anywhere from one step at a time. I want to update and change all my light to CFLs. Or let me do some things around my home every weekend to improve the energy. Or making family saver, which is include my family into this initiative. Or reduce your carbon footprint if you really want a lot of improvements in your home. The most important, it tracks how you use those things. You set up your own goals. You say how much you want to save and change those kind of things. So it gives you an updated, sends email, sends text, how you're doing. So you track how your tasks that you were scheduled to do, if you're on top or not. Now that you understand how your home uses your energy, let's talk about seeing and tracking that energy. Here is the daily consumption, and we have several graphs and options in there. Basically, it tells you since the last time you bill, it gives you a graph here, and how you're consuming that bill, how you're consuming that energy since then. You can track it by meter, you can track it by day, and you can set up your own views. You can say, okay, I want to see only the electric, put weather on top of the electric consumption, and make that graph my default graph when I log into that page. So it gives you some nice options, and you can save those. Like I said, you can click and say the last month with temperatures it will give me what I already configure in the system. Also in this, you have the Green Button initiative. Green Button is a federal standard. It's part of the DOE. We are the first utility in Florida to adopt this standard. What it does, it exports your daily consumption into a standard format that third-party vendors can take and analyze and give you better information or improvements in your home. Also, you will be able to save it as an Excel file, or if you're really tracking into that. Now, let me switch a little bit here because there's some other options that you can get in here. And that is, once you load your consumption, if you have one of the most advanced meters now, you will be able to drill down on your hourly consumption. And what I mean by that is, if you have, I need to go to the meter. Hold on. Let me try to see if you see it better. For those customers that have one of the most advanced meter, and soon everybody will have this option available, you can see on which time of the day you use that energy by hour. So you see that you woke up and taken a shower at night, and you can go back and say, okay, let me track by days and see your consumption. Scroll down and see each one of those days how you were consuming energy. Like I mentioned, here you can tell right away that we were cooking at the New Year's Eve, so we were at home. So with that being said, now all this information is good and fine, but if I cannot act upon it, it's a little bit lower. So what we have is the alerts. Also on the alerts piece, you will be able to enroll on a weekly emails that will tell you as of this day, how much is your bill so far? You will get a weekly email that tells you consumption so far is X, the amount of that consumption is Y. So you are engaged into, oops, I need to reduce or keep doing a good job. Also, you can set up alerts of if my bill is gonna go is above X amount of dollar or X amount of consumption, you can get an alert, and you can set up that alert to be an email or a text. And lastly, we have the power restoration outages. For those customers that have the latest technology, we will be able to confirm that your power is being restored, because only in those meters we can ping the meter and get response back, and meter says, yeah, I'm up and running, I have this energy, so we can send you an alert and say, hey, we can give you a call, say your power is being restored. So these are some of the things that the tracker allows you to do, and we're very excited. We are in the final stages of the pilot. There are about 600 customers that already have access to the tracker. The feedback we've been getting so far is very, very positive. Some customers tell us that it helps me to see where my money goes. So it's a better understanding of how your home, and what things you can do to improve your efficiency. And we're very excited. We believe that an informed customer is a happy customer. With that being said, I think that's all what I have so far. Any questions?
Very good presentation, quite sophisticated and somewhat complicated. You mentioned a third-party vendor, and one of my questions will be, should the homeowner be concerned about security? Because there's a lot of information out there.
Correct, and that's what the third-party vendors are, the federal standards that the DOE requires us to do for the Green Button initiative. You can hire another company to say, okay, what I can do to improve my home energy efficiency. And what they say, well, if your utility is a Green Button standard, we can take that information, import it, analyze it, and give you better recommendations on what to do in your home, in your business. So, but it's something that you only have access, and you need to export and give it to this third party. We don't give it to third parties. The customer giving their information to that people.
Second question, the advanced metering, what's the rollout on that? Is that 6 months, 7, a year?
The target so far is by fall, we finish the REAP program to get the daily hour. And we are so far scheduled to update up to 40,000 meters on two-way meters. And we expect to finish by summer this. So in the next month or so, we expect to roll out this tool to our customers little by little. With the rollout plan, started rolling slowly, and eventually by summer, we hope everybody will have it, depending on how the testing goes. Some of these interfaces are rather complex, and there's a lot of settings that we need to do and work on.
Thank you.
Yes, Mr. Zalby.
Thank you. I'm very excited about this program. So now I don't have to look at my bill from this month and then go back to the 13-month and then compare them and say, well, why is it so different? So
Exactly.
I feel my day being sucked in by this
know.
particular tracking, but I think it's exciting. But to follow up on Mr. Townsend's question, the vendor is hosting our customers' information, the Aclara. I don't know if that's the security that the privacy that he was concerned
We have
with.
a contract with them that is they cannot sell our
Okay.
information. So yes, we're very concerned our customers' data.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, sir.
Great presentation. Kind of goes back to what this board has struggled with on conservation, and it's also about personal responsibility, and I think there's some real opportunities there. And as we do this, and as we get our customer engaged, the upside is we're going to have a better informed customer. In the end, we may have a more conservative customer, which is going to have an impact on the new CFO.
Yeah.
So we need to be, but those are problems of success. The issue that I wanted to come to and build on this is you said that the water portal is in its infancy.
Exactly.
Ballpark, where do you see coming and making a presentation where we are on water consumption?
Well, currently the tracker will include water. What I mean in infancy is not that actionable, the water side, because the nature of the meters and the actions that you can take, there's a little bit that you can do to conserve water. We're working with the vendor, and after we stabilize this, they have several initiatives related to water because they're interested on getting water customers as well. But probably next year, this time, we'll have a better understanding of where we're going, and our idea is to influence the future functionality of this tool so it better serves our customers on the water side especially.
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, I was just thinking that, for some of us that walk or jog or in the morning, when you're running around and you see people's,
Sprinklers.
sprinkler
Yep.
going, and there's a group of us that sometimes we will leave a note if we happen to, your meter's broke.
You
I'm
stop
thinking-
and leave a note when you're driving?
Well, you can't, you have to make sure that when somebody sees you walking up the door.
I
that
typically
it's
get a
right.
phone call from Jay.
Yeah, but I think there's a huge opportunity on the water, because I think with
Absolutely.
people going, I think down the road, I think there's a huge thing about the engagement of utility on the electric side, but I think on the water, I think if we can get a handle on this, I think that if there's one thing that probably, I would think from customer service over here, is there's something wrong with my sprinkler and they don't know until the end. Or
Exactly.
they've been on vacation and then they get that bill for, $17,000 worth of, water. But I think, again, I think we build on the electricity, but I think down the road on the water, I think that's going to be a huge quote for
Correct.
public
And
engagement.
just what you mentioned, one of our high bill cases reason is when you have a broken pipe, you sometimes realize when the bill hits you, which is too late. And with these alerts that you can set up, if my consumption goes above, 8,000 gallons, then send me a text. So yes, there's a great opportunity. We'll look forward to that.
Any other questions? Right, I can't help but think that Kathy Watley would be really pleased to see,
She would.
Yeah.
see how far we've come. She was a former board member and a huge advocate of this project, so I wish you were here to see him today.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes,
if
sir.
I may, the back row there seems
yeah.
to be filled with a bunch of individuals that made this successful, and so maybe they
Well,
can
please
stand
stand
up
up.
and we can recognize them. Don't be
Thank you very
shy.
much.
Thank you very much.
Thank
What
you.
are their names? The three people that just stood?
Thanks.
I'm Jennifer Hahn, I'm with Brand Communications Coordinator, so I help with the look and feel.
My name is Patrick Stone. I'm with Technology Services, so I work with all the integrations in
Okay.
the system.
My name is Mahiuddin Lashkar, and I'm the DoD program manager involved in implementing our data trackers and other DoD-related initiatives.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Great. Wonderful presentation. Is there anyone from the public that wishes to address the board this morning? No? All right, seeing none, I don't see Councilman Jost with us today, so we'll move right into the board's business. We'll move to our consent agenda. May I
So
have
moved, Mr. Chairman.
Second.
seen a motion and a second? All in favor of adopting the consent agenda?
Aye.
That passes. I would now ask that Mike Brost come forward and give us our bi-monthly operations presentation. Morning, Mike.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. Appreciate the opportunity to be on the agenda this morning. This will be a fairly brief operations report and a joint presentation from myself and Brian Roach. We have been working with staff over the last couple of weeks to redo the operations report with the organizational chart changes in it. Some changes were in order. We've kept some of the old, but have made a number of changes. One of the primary objectives was to make sure we are lined up with Paul's corporate performance objectives, his scorecard that he's developed with the senior leadership team. So we've got about 5 or 6 slides on the electric business, 5 or 6 for water. Brian and I arm wrestled this morning, and I won, so I'll take the electric slides. And the first 2 actually are bigger than operations. They're bigger than my business and Brian's. But they're number 1 and 2 on Paul's corporate list, so we wanted to include them. Customer satisfaction, and we did a pretty good workshop with the board last month on that one, so you're all pretty well up to speed on that. But JD Power Customer Sat Index is our metric. And then safety, corporate safety. We measure and track recordables, OSHA recordables. We convert that into an incident rate, which is the number of recordables per 100 employees over the course of a year. So we got about 2,000 employees. That gives you a 20 times multiplier. So an RIR of 1 would be 20 recordables. The last 2 years, we ended up at 1.5, so around 30 recordables experienced in prior years. The goal for this year is 1.2. Year to date, we sit at 8, pretty much in line with our numbers last year. They don't occur; they're random. They don't occur equally across the months. Month of October, we had, and that's evidenced in the charts there. Month of October, we had 7 of the 8. November, we had 1. We've experienced 0 in November and 0 in January. And noteworthy, the crews we sent up north to the Northeast Mutual Aid Restoration Crews experienced an RIR of 0, so that's significant. When you think about my area of JEA, the electric business, and Brian's on the water sewer side, we obviously have significant impact on customer satisfaction. We have a large number of employees, a large number of processes touching the customers directly and indirectly, significant influence over the local environment, service quality, reliability. We have big areas with lots of dollars, O&M and capital moving through our businesses, so a lot of impact on cost and thus rates. And a large number of employees with the ability to reach out and impact the community. Todd Lovelace and the group we had this morning as a good example. Brian and I are also fully plugged into the work that Bruce Dugan and the Black Belts are doing. We've recently launched 6 teams. I spent most of my day last Tuesday in a room with about 100 employees working through the many ideas that have been developed. So we are on the team there, and we think we got a lot of good momentum moving in a good direction. When you look at Paul's performance objectives in total, and you look at the subset around which there's an electric system impact, that's basically what this slide shows. 3 major sections: electric costs on $1 per megawatt hour produced, delivered, sold to the customer. Some more traditional financial metrics, and then environmental compliance and reliability.
Taking it top to bottom, biggest expense item for us is fuel for our power plants. The current forecast is $40.81 per megawatt hour. That is better than what we told the rating agencies last month, and it's significantly better than our current rate, which is $43.60. That was put in place back last year. Total cost of $91.26 is better than budget, and although up a bit over last year's actuals. If you look at under the financials, the three lines for fuel revenue and expense and net, you can see in the budget we had projected a $7 million hit to the fuel fund. Last month when we went to New York, it was 21 to the good, and we currently stand at 28. The numbers for the operations budget and the capital are in line with budget, and pretty much on track with our environmental compliance and our reliability metrics. Looking at three of those from the bottom. Electric service reliability, we look at outages, outage frequency and outage duration. Those are heading in a favorable direction. Back in 2008, typical JEA customer had 4 extended outages. Average JEA customer 1 minute or longer. We've brought that down today to 2. The upper right chart, outage duration back in 2008, the typical JEA customer saw 140 minutes of accumulated lights out time. We've brought that down to 70, and we'll continue to move those numbers down. Our performance last year on the generating fleet, better than 1% forced outage rate, is clearly top decile, best-in-class performance, and we're continuing to do well this year so far on fleet performance.
Mike?
Yes, sir.
How much of your outage is weather-related?
Probably half, maybe more.
Okay.
And
So we've had some fairly favorable weather. We haven't had huge storms.
There is a weather component, and what you really look at, what we look at historically is wind. Wind is the culprit. Lightning causes problems, but a lot of rain doesn't do us any problem. It's really the wind. There's a correlation between wind and frequency of outages, so absolutely. The board members who have been on the board for a while, remember we used to have 2 or 3 different versions of this chart. We tried to consolidate it down. This is the fuel view. The green line going up, this is our projection on the fiscal year for fuel revenue, 540. Projecting currently, we update this every month, projecting a fuel expense of 512. The bars at the bottom are expenses, budget on the white, and then the orange and blue gator color coordination is the actuals and projected. So you can see they're the 7 million negative to now the 28 positive, and the impact that has on the fuel fund. So we continue to move in a very positive direction on fuel.
While we're on the subject of fuel, and I don't know if it's appropriate to ask you or Paul, who's kind of interim CFO still, but at what point do we begin to look at the fuel fund and say enough's enough in continuing to add to the fuel fund? If we're projecting an ending balance of $120 million, at what point do we say we're adequately reserved there?
At the December's Finance and Audit Committee meeting, we had a detailed discussion on that, and we have pushed forward to the March meeting where we will bring forward a recommendation. We wanted to get through the year end in terms of what was going to happen with the fiscal cliff and some of the other uncertainties in the market before we move forward.
And that will be an agenda item in the March meeting, yes.
Great, thank you.
2 more slides. This is just a financial view, basically revenues and expenses, profit loss. You can see the unit sales last year was actually down pretty hard from the previous year, about 7.5% down, that 11.9. We started the year this year with a plan and a forecast of 12.9 million megawatt hours. Currently, we're saying that that's about 12.5, up from last year, but down from where we started the year. 1.3 billion in revenue. Major expense items are fuel, of course. The 512 is our current forecast, and then O&M, non-fuel purchase power, nets out at about 415 million, which drives the debt service coverage. Other large expense items, of course, is debt service, which is up a bit over last year. We benefited last year from some pretty favorable variable interest rates, and it just did real well against the plan last year on that. So up a little bit this year on debt service. R&R and OCO is our internally generated pay-go capital. So in good shape with the debt service coverage, not as good as last year, but certainly in line with projections. Days cash is down a little bit, but in line with where we need to be on liquidity. We plan on paying off about $100 million in debt this year on the electric system, which will take our debt-to-asset ratio down to 77. We ended last year at 79. We think moving forward over the next 4 or 5 years that we'll continue to head on down towards 60 is kind of in the 5-year future. No increases in rates planned over that period of time in terms of base rates. Obviously, fuel, we look at that every month, and and at the board's discretion, we can up that or raise it or lower it as needed based on what's in the fuel fund. This just shows our rank against other Florida cities, other Florida utilities, and we're pretty much in the middle of the pack. If you just look at the dark blue bar, which is our utility charges, and ignore the franchise fee, gross receipts tax, and public service tax, we are actually we would actually shift a couple of columns to the left in terms of a comparison there, but pretty much in the middle of the pack. We expect a lot of our peers to be doing rate actions to increase rates over time, so that's where we stand today. Any questions for me? I'll turn over to Brian. Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
All right, good morning. We have 5 slides similar to the electric to follow to emulate the scorecard, the performance scorecard. On the water side, so we're looking at it from a business unit view, and we look at our costs, because our costs end up being our price to our customers. And then we have the unit cost as a measure between what we had at historical years in 2011, 2012, and where we forecast on the right-hand column. So our unit cost for water costs, $4.42 per gallon. If you drop down about an inch on there, you got $7.62 per K-gallon on the sewer cost. So certainly sewer is almost twice as expensive as water to our customers, and it's appropriate. It costs a lot more money to treat sewer than it does wastewater than it does on water from the aquifer. Both those numbers of forecasts are fairly in line with our budget and rating agency, slightly lower than budget and maybe a few pennies at this point in time higher than our rating agency targets. And we use both because the budget was really formed in May, June, but we update our whole financial cycle in the fall with the rating agency projections. So we really go through 2 cycles of our financial plans each year. So we want to manage both to the budget and to a rating agency, a little more up to date. The financials, the next line, a little different electric. Electric has 4 major components. They have fuel, of course. They also have non-fuel purchase power, which is the power plant Shear and St. John's Power Park to manage on a daily and a monthly basis. But with both systems have operations and capital. So the water sewer is really 2 main drivers of your annual performance, and your long-term performance is your operations and your capital. And we're on line to spend $122 million in operational O&M costs and $128 million in capital costs. And those are in line slightly lower than our rating agency and budget numbers, and we'll continue to manage those. In addition, we have the environmental compliance and reliability as metrics in a scorecard. Reliability, in a sense, is a customer satisfaction metric, because if you don't have reliable water sewer service, you're not going to have satisfied customers. And we have a couple slides, a little more detail on that. So we're trending on target. So we'll turn to the reliability customer satisfaction driver type slide. We have 3 or 4 metrics that we're looking at, and we might flip some certain months to give you a different view. The first one's at the top left is the customer water main break. So when you break a water main, a lot of customers potentially be out of service. And our goal was about 400 customers a month. Of course, our true goal is you don't want to have any outages, but there is a price for that. So when you have a system that has thousands of feet of pipe, thousands of miles of pipe, some of it old, you're going to have breaks. We try to manage that. And this year we're trending, we have about 1,000 customers year to date over 3 months that we know have lost water or sewer service through main breaks. The next top right is water pressure less than 30 psi. According to environmental standards, if a customer or the distribution system sees less than 20 psi, there needs to be boil water notices. We don't want that. But customers really expect 50, 60 psi in front of their house or front of their business. We deliver water at our water plants, approximately 75 psi, but that doesn't really mean much to our customers. They want to know what they get when they receive it, because the water plant might be 5, 10 miles away. So in 1998, when we had the extreme water drought in Jacksonville, we had the fires, we decided to have an initiative to put some distribution pressure measurements in the distribution system. We have about 101 right now, spread across the entire grid, and we measure that. So we look at that chart to those 101 distribution points. What are the pressures, and how often, how many minutes you're less than 30 psi? We have a little bit of trend going up, but I believe you're looking at an average of 50 minutes a month of those 101 points. So it's a good trend indicator of what we're delivering. The bottom right column, the right corner, is a priority tickets to our control center. And we can look at that both unfavorable and favorable. We have about 2,000 tickets a month or 25,000 tickets a year. These are opportunities, the way I view them, where customers call us up. It could be our issue where JEA, something happened in our system where a customer has an interruption of water or sewer service, but it could also be the customer has a leak in their house, they can't turn the valve off. They don't know where the valve is in front of the house. They're calling us up to say, can you shut off the water at the meter of the street so I quit having leaks in my house? It could be issues that they have planned construction, they want water on and off. So we solve 90% or greater of those in a one-time priority ticket. We're calling them priority within 70 minutes. Looks at we're at 70 minutes. So 2,000 customers a month call us up for action, and we resolve that within 70 minutes. What we're going to track also going downstream is of those 10% that aren't solved on the first call resolution, how long that takes to resolve those issues. And we are tracking that, but I want to bring that forward as we go. And those are opportunities to satisfy customers. So look at it that way. The next one's compliance. In the water sewer business, and like any industrial business, you have to have compliance. And the one figure that we've reported a lot success over the last few years is the lower nitrogen into the St. Johns River. And we look at, 4 or 5 years ago, we're in 800 tons per year, 700 tons, 692, 534, and last year we have a little kick up, about 650. The total maximum available limit that's allowed is 720 tons per year. We have a lot of construction going on in Buttman that will finish up at the end of this fiscal year. So we know we're kicking up and we'll be close to that 700 marker, and then we'll go back down to, we envision going back down to 600s and 500s in future years. The top right-hand corner is SSOs, and if I didn't footnote it here, I put at the bottom, sanitary sewer overflows that touch the waters of the U.S. It's defined by either touching a body of water, or it's 1,000 gallons or more, a sewer leak, or it impacts community or customer health, any sort of health concerns if it's an environment where someone can touch it. So we're looking at a goal of 26 this year. We're on pace. We have 8 the first quarter. Numbers that we had 3 or 4 or 5 years ago was 60. The numbers we had 10 years ago were in the hundreds and multiple hundreds. So this is a massive improvement JEA has done with his investment over the last decade. The bottom right, consumption use permit. I think everyone who was on the board in the previous couple years know that took several years for JEA to obtain the consumptive use permit from St. John's Rural Management for 20 years. Our limits is 45.2 billion gallons last year, and we were at 41.0. But it was favorable the year last year. We had a lot of rainfall the last 5 months of the year, so customers were not watering, so that's something we manage and watch on a monthly, daily basis. We have a team watching that, and we'll continue to monitor that. Also, from a business perspective of profit and loss, you look at what are the 3 main drivers in the financial statements that operations delivers to finance to keep score and do the great things that finance has done over the last decade on managing our debt and managing our finances is unit sales. Right now, year to date, we're about 5% below year to date on unit sales. That generates the revenues, approximately $400 million a year of revenues in water sewer business, really 3 components. I'll call it 4, excuse me. $20 million goes to the city, $120 million of debt service, and those are fixed costs. But the 2 that we control, the 2 circled on a daily basis, is operations, O&M, $122 million, and capital expenditures, $128. Those are the forecasts. So if you asked us a month ago, the 128 would have been 137, even though we budgeted 132. So we've, over the last 2 or 3 months, our forecast, our capital expenditure has gone down. We're looking at projects to make sure they are delivering value to our customers. If not, we'll scale those down. And those are 2 main numbers we manage. We manage them well. Long term, we end up having solid rates. Right now, we're in the middle of the pack, similar to the electric. If you draw the line, we're below the taxes and franchise fees. We're on the good side of the middle of the pack versus a little bit on the 60% side. We might move to the 40% side. So we'll continue to manage that. We have no rate actions planned for the next 5 years. And that's the final slide on it. Any questions?
Thank you, Brian. Thank you, Mike. I like the new format.
try to take a
Precise.
holistic view.
Thank you. There is some new business to come before the board today. I need a motion and a second for the JEA Supplemental Employee Retirement Plan revisions to the deferred compensation.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Seeing none, it passes. Committee reports, I understand there are no committee reports this morning. Great. Paul, do you want to give us your CEO's report?
Well, just a couple of things, Mr. Chairman. I want to recognize the activity of the, we're a little close there, of the, not only the management team, but many people in the organization. Mike had mentioned, I think in his conversation, we had almost 100 folks together, focused together for one full day on customer satisfaction initiatives. So we are in the implementation stage. When we were first laid out at the beginning of October, the plan was to analyze and define and then get ideas for solution and improving customer satisfaction and then move into the implementation stage. And we are in the implementation stage. We are involving everybody across the utility. We've reached out to all departments and all levels of the utility to ensure that we have full engagement, and with that, the seeds are spread and will continue to move forward this year in 3 or 4 waves of initiatives. So we're well on our way there. Community involvement, we attended several CPAC meetings, and these are the neighborhood planning meetings, and had some excellent dialogue this last week, both with Urban Core Northwest, and have a few other opportunities to meet with the CPACs, and we'll continue to focus that in terms of delivering the changes that we're making, especially in customer satisfaction. Team resistance, certainly a great, and enough has been said about that in terms of community involvement. And then finally, when I say Community Rescue Mission, Second Harvest Food Bank, and the Salzbacher Center, what do they all have in common? Well, they certainly are nonprofits doing great work in our community, but they all are going to be the beneficiary of our black belts working through the Community Excellence Alliance with UNF, and we will have black belts embedded into these organizations working on process improvement, how they can be more efficient and effective with the scarce funds that they have to deliver these valuable services to those in need in our community. So I think that's just one other example of us moving forward and being involved in the community.
Paul, excuse me, what was the 4 groups?
We had City Rescue Mission, Second Harvest, and the Salzbacher Center, where we're directly involved. And that's my report.
Good.
Thank you. As part of my report this morning, I need to dispense with a little business. I would like to make a recommendation to the board that we form a nominating committee to convene next month to recommend a new slate of officers to be voted on in our February meeting. And in accordance with our past practice, the immediate 3 past chairs, so that would be Ms. Austin, Mr. Townsend, and myself, will form that committee and bring back to the board at our February meeting a recommended slate of officers to take office commencing in the March meeting. So I'll be doing that. And then this brings me to the bittersweet part of today's board meeting. Today marks the last board meeting that Jim Dickinson will officially attend. Jim will retire before our next board meeting. And Jim, we had a nice luncheon for Jim. The Chamber was kind enough to sponsor a luncheon last week at which some incredibly nice things were said about Jim. But I'm still not sure enough was said. Paul went through a list of accomplishments that happened not only over your 39 years, but particularly in your last 8 years as CEO. And that list, it's long, it's distinguished, and the accomplishments that you put in place, I think, will shape the future of this utility for decades to come. And this board is incredibly grateful for the service that you gave. I think we had a firsthand, front row seat at the show. So many people in the community will never appreciate the impact that you had on their lives as CEO of JEA. And as a small token of not only the board, but your EMTs, thanks for your service to JEA, we've got a small token of our appreciation. So I ask that you come forward.
It doesn't look small.
Somebody said that it looks very, that I was shopping at Tiffany's. but I assure you
the
that
blue box,
board-
the blue box.
It's Tiffany paper.
I shop at Tiffany's, so we'll present this to you on behalf of the board and the EMT, and thank you for your service. We'll let you, paper off my 5 months
Upside down.
Ford Riley. I know, his sister. Actually, I have a Ford Riley in my house hanging right now. So-
Well, great. Well, we hope you will add this to your card collection. Jim,
Thank you very much. We appreciate it very much.
Could you turn it around for those?
Yeah.
Turn around so they can see what they're saying.
When you rip the rest of the paper off?
That's a really nice.
I'll just say something real quick.
Take the podium and now, take as much time as you like. We're not going to limit you.
Before,
take my time other than to
before
say-
Jim speaks, because, you know, Jim doesn't, brevity is not one of his strengths. I just want to say, I was not able to attend the luncheon the other day, that was my problem, but I just want to say 3 things, Jim. You know, I've always admired your intellect, your high energy, and your integrity. And I wish you would mow well and travel safely in Africa.
Thank you very much, Ron. So, not the end of our friendship, I'm sure.
Absolutely not.
But I just want to say that not too many people, you know, join an organization right out of college and then stay there for their whole career, but a lot fewer of those are able to work their way through the organization and then have the privilege of leading it, you know, for 8 years, which I did. And it really was a privilege. And I appreciate so much the board members that I had at that time. You know, I've got a couple of new board members now, Mr. Bowers and Ms. Albee, and I don't know you, but I know you have an opportunity to serve in a great organization, I think, and continue to make it even better and better. So this organization means so much to this community, you know, that a lot of people don't really, I guess, fully understand, because it's such the commodity of electric, water, and sewer services is something that's very, very easy to take for granted. You know, it's just when they're not there that you realize that they're not there, and then how important they are. And I think the board, it truly is at times a burden to provide services that are so essential to the community. But I think everybody that does it, you know, does it with a lot of heart and a lot of satisfaction to do it, because it is something very, very important that the community needs, and it's done very well here. So it's been a great privilege to serve, and after February the 1st, I'll simply be a customer. So I expect great service, and I'll call if I don't get it. So.
Can I suggest that we have a photograph with Jim, the board, please?
Yes.
That'd be great. Could we do that? Yeah.
Jim, thank you.
Jim, yeah.
Stay back here with them.
Yeah.
Your old seat. There you go. Okay, y'all might have to get tight in here. So.
Oh, sorry.
Can you get us all?
Guys?
Yeah. And Paul? And with Paul?
Come on.
Come
on, Joe.
Yeah. I'm done now.
Great.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Thank you, sir.
And unless there are,
Sorry.
unless there's any other new business to come before the board.
One matter, and Ms. Aquadera would announce a shade meeting for discussion next month.
Thank you. At the pre-board meeting, some discussion came up, and I believe some of the new board members would like a briefing. Under the statute, there's specific language I have to use, and so I'll just state that before I do this. There are 2 cases. One is Promenade versus the Hanson Contractors et al. That's a Mississippi case, and it is in a circuit court there. It's case number A24602. And then there's a second case. It's a very quiet but consent decree between JEA and the DEP, but it is tangential to that, and therefore it's appropriate to be in the shade meeting. And that is a file number, OGC file number 102379. The purpose of the shade meeting is settlement, discussion, and litigation expenses and negotiation strategy in accordance with the statute. So I will work with Mr. McElroy to set that. The people in attendance can only be the board members, Mr. McElroy, myself as legal counsel, Jason Teal as legal counsel, and David Dagada as also legal counsel. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any other announcements?
That's it, thank you.
Hearing none, we will adjourn the meeting.